Welcome to Be Smart, the podcast about money, the podcast about highbrow money, lowbrow money, and everything in between, and how not to be an idiot with your money, because there's a lot of that going around. By the way, I have notes for these podcasts, and recently I got reading glasses because I am 47 years old and I need reading glasses. So I am sitting here reading this with reading glasses, but I can see, this started, I was reading a book for one of my classes. I was on the couch, this is like 3 weeks ago, and I just I had no idea what I was reading. I said, I can't do this anymore. Went to Target and got some reading glasses. So here we are. So I said we were going to talk about prepaying mortgages. Okay, and I have opinions on this. So let's start from the beginning. You want to buy a house. How do you do this? Well, most people, they see a house they like. They go to a real estate agent. They say, I want to buy a house. Now, the real estate agent, before you waste any of their time, they take you to a bank or a mortgage broker to get pre-qualified. Okay. So you give them your social security number, they run a credit check, they look at your income, they look at a couple other things, and they say, okay, this is the maximum amount of loan that you can qualify for. So then with that information, they give that to the real estate agent, and the real estate agent takes you to look at houses based on that maximum amount of loan that you can qualify for. Okay. That's not the way to do this. That's how you end up in too big of a house. So the bank figures out the mortgage payment, the insurance, and property taxes so that it's 42% of your income. 42% of your income is a lot, right? You want it to be 25% of your income. So when you buy a house, do the math and make sure that the mortgage payment, insurance, and property taxes all together are 25% of your income or less. Why do you do that? Because if it's 42% of your income, it will crowd out your ability to save for retirement. You won't be able to save for your retirement. That's for starters. So now you have a mortgage. Part of the mortgage payment is interest and part of it is principal. So what happens is you make payments on this mortgage over time, and the interest gradually goes down, and the principal gradually goes up. Now, I don't know if you've ever done this, and I highly, highly recommend it if you do. Just go Google mortgage amortization table, okay? And you can build one. You can build one in Microsoft Excel. It's a little complicated, but I recommend that you go through the exercise. Build a mortgage amortization spreadsheet for your mortgage. You know that you're going to pay most of the interest in the first 10 years of the mortgage. Really, like 2/3 of the interest is in the first 10 years of the mortgage. So the bank has a way of getting its money back. But it's not nefarious, it's just math. And the way this works is you pay the monthly interest rate times the outstanding loan balance every month. That's all it is. Now, when you make payments on your mortgage, you have the option of sending in additional money, which is called prepayments or curtailments. And what this does is it shortens the duration of your mortgage. So if you keep sending in a couple of $100 on the mortgage every month, you will take years off the life of the mortgage. In fact, if you send in an extra $250 every month, you will take about 6 years off the life of an average size mortgage at current interest rates. So you'll have a 24-year mortgage instead of a 30-year mortgage. And the key thing is you will pay a lot less in interest. Now, why do we care about this? Why do we care about how much we pay in interest? Principal we like. Principal, we want to pay principal. This is how we build equity in the house. Interest is just profits for the bank, and you want to minimize the amount that you pay the bank. So in order to pay the least interest possible, you want to prepay the shit out of this mortgage. You want to send in as much money as you can every month. You want to pay it down until it hurts. Yes, the interest in most cases is tax deductible if the mortgage is less than $750,000, but I don't care if it's tax deductible. That does not affect the calculation here. You still want to pay it down. Everyone should have a goal of paying their mortgage off in 10 years. Let me say that again. You can pay off your mortgage in 10 years. You can do it. Back when I was doing the radio show, I had my friend Eric Hatcher, who is the king of personal finance. I had him on the show, and he paid off his mortgage in 9 years. And all the interest that he didn't pay on that mortgage is currently in his bank account. And he owns the house free and clear. And that is the goal. The goal is to own the house free and clear, because owning your house free and clear is the best thing in the world. It's your house. Nobody can take it from you. It's yours. All you have to do is pay the property taxes. You don't even, if you own your house free and clear, you don't even have to have insurance. You just got to pay the property taxes. Now, there's another way to look at this. I look at everything in terms of asset allocation. And your asset allocation should typically look like the awesome portfolio. 20% stocks, 20% bonds, 20% cash, 20% gold, 20% real estate. Everyone should have some allocation to real estate. So let's say you have $50,000 in equity in your house and you have $200,000 in investments. That's a 20% allocation to real estate, which is good. But the reality is that for a lot of people are going to have an oversized allocation of real estate relative to everything else, because most people aren't good at saving and investing, but they're good at paying the mortgage and building equity. Now, this isn't the worst thing in the world. I mean, you have a lot of baby boomers right now who bought a house for $70,000 in the 1970s, and they're selling it for $900,000 today, and they never invested a dime in the stock market. They have the house paid off, they sell the house, they move down south, they buy a cheaper house, and they live off the balance. It's a pretty good deal. There's actually been a couple times in my life when I bought a more expensive house because my allocation to real estate was low. Now, that wasn't the only reason I bought the house, but that was one reason. So I'm going to quote these numbers off the top of my head. I didn't look this up, but I kind of know this by heart. At current interest rates, if you get a $400,000 mortgage, you're going to be paying $250,000 in interest over the life of the loan, which is like paying for the house twice. It's a terrible idea. And my recommendation is keep track of all the interest you pay. I bet the average person spends 10 to 20% of their pre-tax income in interest. Is that fun? Do you get enjoyment out of that? Are you getting anything for it? Interest is the penalty you pay for consuming now rather than later. So you want to minimize that penalty as much as possible. You want to know how much interest I am paying right now? Zero. That's right, zero. I have no debt, so I am paying no interest. All the money I would have paid, I am keeping it for myself, and this is how wealth is created. You want to pay as little interest as possible. You know, I talk about the little things and the big things. This is the big things. This is the classic big thing. You could end up paying $500,000 in interest over the course of your lifetime. If you kept that money and invested it and compounded it, what kind of number do you get? You get millions. That's the big stuff. That's 50 lifetimes of coffee. This is why we don't dick around with coffee, because it's stupid, because the little things really are the little things and the big things really are the big things. My last mortgage I paid off in 3.5 years, and I still paid $70,000 in interest. I was not happy about paying $70,000 in interest. I could have spent that $70,000 on a lot of other stuff. I could have saved it. $70,000 was the penalty I paid for buying a house before I could afford it. One last thing. Let's talk about 15-year mortgages and 30-year mortgages. You should get a 15-year mortgage. Okay, but you don't have to. Let me explain. My belief is that you should not get a house with a 30-year mortgage unless you have the ability to afford it with a 15-year mortgage. 15-year mortgages are better because you amortize principal faster and you pay a lot less in interest. I strongly recommend getting a 15-year mortgage. But if you don't, a 30-year mortgage gives you more flexibility and you can pay down principal on your own time rather than on a fixed schedule. So I get this a lot. I talk to people, they say, I bought a house, and I'm like, did you get a 15-year mortgage? And they say, well, we couldn't afford it with a 15-year mortgage, so we got a 30-year mortgage. That's a big mistake. You get too big of a house, you're going to have trouble paying it down, and you're going to have to pay every dollar of interest on that loan, and it's going to crowd out your ability to save. Do I recommend that people buy a house? I recommend that people have some allocation to real estate. I don't care what it is. Sure, buy a house. It's probably going to be a good investment, but let's be clear, a house is not an investment. A house is a place to live. Pay down that mortgage aggressively. Pay it off in 10 years. You will thank me. I can't describe the feeling of what it is like to have a house that is paid for. No more money getting sucked out of your bank account every month. It's been 4 years since I had a mortgage payment, and I am really enjoying it. Tune in next time when we will be farting prodigiously into the microphone. Just kidding. Tune in next time when we talk about yard sales and maybe some other stuff.